the first mindset or change that the Canadian business owners needs to have is that not selling to the US or selling less is the end of the world. You need to have a brand positioning, brand values that definitely are not negotiable, but the way you communicate and you execute some initiatives in that market are the ones who are going to define if you are successful or you fail.
It's a powerful shift to, move from seeing international markets as extra to seeing them as the core of a resilient growth strategy.
Translation is not just putting in another language. They need to partner with professional international marketers that knows the local culture.
Hi, this is Kripa Anand and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. For many Canadian companies, exporting usually means looking south to the United States. But in 2026, to keep the businesses running or have real growth opportunities, they need to diversify and find alternative markets in Latin America, Europe, and beyond. The challenge isn't just a lack of demand, it's a lack of cultural fluency in how we position our products. Joining us today is Ariel Levinson, Managing Director at B2B Marketing. Ariel is a fractional marketing director and global B2B expert who has navigated complex marketing landscapes across more than 35 countries. Fluent in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, he has empowered tech giants like Equinix and Johnson Controls to bridge communication gaps and achieve measurable growth worldwide. So before further ado, let's dive in. Ariel, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Now, Ariel, you've noticed that many Canadian exporters struggle to diversify their markets beyond the US, right? Often hitting a wall when they try to enter new regions. So what mindset shift must Canadian SMBs, make to move beyond US? Go ahead.
I would say that just to talk about that mindset change, we need to understand how we got here.
Yeah.
And for many decades, particularly for those Canadian business who export, including SMBs, the US has been the default market. Yeah. It's familiar, it's close, geographically, same language, kind of legal tax system, structure. So they have been in a comfort zone for so many decades. But the thing is that the US represents 80% of the Canada exports. And in street language, that is to put all the eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And because of that, everybody who have studied marketing or business or finance, one of the first lessons that we learn is none of our clients must represent more than 10 or 15% of our portfolio.
Right.
And the US for decades has now represent 80%. Yeah. So I think that the first mindset or change that the Canadian business owners needs to have is that not selling to the US or selling less is the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's the first aspect. Because now, because of all the instability, we are in a very vulnerable position, in a very weak position to negotiate. And there is so much uncertainty. Yeah. So the second mindset is we need to diversify. We need to get to new markets. Yeah. But we know it's not easy. Those new markets has different cultures, different languages, currencies that are unfamiliar, different tax systems, but there are so many great opportunities, and so that's where I think that Canada has now a great opportunity to diversify and have a more healthy relationship that creates a lot of opportunities, not only to survive those business, but to grow.
Wow, that's so well said. And I couldn't agree more, because now more than anything else, now is the time for Canada, specifically with everything that's going around in the world, around the geopolitics as well. Canada needs to look beyond one specific country and, just expand its horizons. It's a powerful shift to, move from seeing international markets as extra to seeing them as the core of a resilient growth strategy. So that's beautiful. Now, let's, turn our focus to crafting brand positioning that truly resonates across languages and cultures, all the barriers that you were just mentioning, right?
Yeah.
So how exactly do you adapt brand positioning to resonate across cultures? Firstly, this.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. You need to balance a general global brand strategy with local execution, and there is a term that you call glocal.
Yeah.
No, so you need to have a brand positioning, brand values that definitely are not negotiable, that will not change.
Yeah.
But the way you communicate and you execute some initiatives in that market are the ones who are going to define if you are successful or you fail.
Yeah.
So the first is to understand the culture. Definitely, even when you translate, it's not just about the translation.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the tone, the humor, the colors, the images that are appropriate for that particular culture.
Right.
Then in terms of digital presence, you need to have in local language your website, your social media. Then you have a multi-channel media approach. In some countries, they are maybe more digital than others. In some other markets, you are going to need more traditional media. So you need to understand that, for example, Latin America is very useful to use WhatsApp. Right. And North America is not that used for advertising or to reach customers. So those are the minor things that will make you understand also the legal aspects about how the packaging, the information that you need to put in your packaging, the laws about how you advertise, where the data is going to be hosted. All those things are key component on top of the content strategy. That will say you can tell stories about your brand, keeping your values, but with local that resonates locally.
Wow, very well said. I completely agree with you. You should not lose the core of your business, while you can always grow and better what you're already doing, right? Now, given the Canadian companies enter into these markets, right? When Canadian companies do enter new international markets, from your extensive experience, Ariel, what are the most common mistakes that you see in how they position their products, choose their target demographics or structure their go-to market plans? Where do they lack?
I think that the first mistake is to consider international as one market. There are so many different countries, so different and each of them has a different culture.
Yeah.
So it's key to understand and adapt your strategies and your execution based on those cultures. The other sometimes mistake is that they try to sell their product or their service based of what it works here. And pushing the features instead of understanding how that product
need,
exactly what they need, or how that works in that particular environment. So then the other a third aspect would be to not have a competitive intelligence, understanding what the competition is doing, because they are locals, they know that market, so you need to be in that particular league.
Right.
So I would say that those are kind of the key aspect that you need to approach with an open mind and adapt agility adaptability, and resilience are the three aspects to be successful.
Wow, that's a golden advice, I'd say, because that's so true. It's the small things, the nuances, which are different in every different culture, city, state, and adapting to that is what's going to take your business to that next level. That's great. Now, attention shifts to how customer experience becomes the real differentiator, specifically in complex B2B tech sales, right?
Yes.
So how can B2B firms out there use their customer or, client experience as their key differentiator, especially in long-term sales cycles?
Yeah. In those cases, particularly in B2B, as you mentioned that you have large sales cycles, relationships, building meaningful relationship is a key.
Yeah.
Particularly when your sales team are the one who are in constant contact with your clients.
Yeah.
So sometimes there are things happens on logistics, in finance, on production. So that sales teams needs to have a very close relationships with those clients and keep them informed about all the whole process. Because if they trust the salesperson, everything can be overcome.
Yeah.
And then depending on the culture, we are coming back to the culture.
Yeah.
Sometimes going to to have a meal. Sometimes it's a 2-hour meal that sometimes we are not get used here in North America, but in other countries, in building that relationship during a lunch or a dinner is what makes a difference and bond between the client and the person from representing the company. Other aspects are trainings, keeping, as I said, communication is key when you have product changes, price changes, anything that is related with the company to to nurture that client keeps a healthy relationships. And as I said, webinars, having face-to-face relationship in those trainings, in trade shows, in conferences. So all those aspects are the ones who create that experience that helps build and grow that relationship with local clients.
Love that approach, Ariel. And I completely agree with that part where, human touch is irreplaceable, specifically with AI now coming into the picture. AI can never replace what a human can do, right?
No.
Even if you go to an event, the connection and the synergies that you exchange with someone on a personal level are something that's, undoubtedly the best human experience that you could do. So that's great to know. Hello, Canadian entrepreneurs. To the B2B leaders watching, 2026 is the year to stop treating translation as marketing. If you were just copy pasting from your North American ads into Latin American or European markets, you're wasting your budget. People buy from people they trust, and trust is built through local context and cultural nuances. Don't just export your product, export your value in a way that truly speaks to your global customers. We're going for a quick break right here, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we'll explore a creative virtual strategy that's redefining how trust is built across borders. Stay tuned.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Welcome back, listeners. Let's dive into how innovative virtual selling can cut through digital noise and open doors in completely new markets. Now, moving ahead, let's look at the creative virtual strategies that build trust across borders. So, what did the TV show project reveal about the creative virtual selling? Firstly, what was that TV project for our listeners? And give us a little more detail about that.
Okay, that was a project that I was very proud. We were ending COVID time, but there were still travel bans.
Okay.
And we base a lot of our connection with clients up through traveling, through trade shows, through trainings, and we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So sales came to me with that challenge: how we can reconnect with clients, how we attract prospects.
Yeah.
And I came with the idea to create a TV show because people were getting bored at that time with watching PowerPoints and showing slides and somebody speaking off.
Yeah.
So I came with the idea of having like a newscast with a virtual studio with a real host, news host, and doing interactive games and showing videos instead of somebody talking about the solution or what this product does. We produce 28 original videos. So that was very successful initiatives. That the thing is, you need to find initiatives that engage, that entertain the audience, but also act as educate the audience. So yes, they are learning things and but getting entertained at the same time and have a better understanding of what you offer in terms of product and services.
That's beautiful. Using entertainment to educate is a brilliant way to, cut through the digital noise and build a massive global pipeline. So kudos to you for that idea. Now the conversation moves to setting the right foundation in the first year of global expansion. So what steps do you recommend, Ariel, that B2B SMBs take now to target the right global customers?
I think that before expanding, there are three questions that the business owners has to ask themselves. Yeah. One is, are we 100% committed to expand internationally? Yeah. Because it's not just a business owner decision. The whole company, even if it's a small company, needs to be aligned and understand the benefits and the challenges that means to go internationally. The second is, do I have the resources to expand? And because capital is sometimes critical. And fortunately now all the government levels, federal, provincial, municipal, are aligned with this idea of diversify our exports. And there are crown corporations like BDC and EDC that offer credits and financial support to those who decide to expand. And the third one is, am I operationally ready to expand? Because once you commit, they are going to deliver a certain product or certain service.
Right.
You can fail because your reputation is on the line. So you need to provide the quality product, the quality service that you offer, and have the infrastructure and everything ready to comply with that.
Wow. I think that totally makes sense. Having a clear, phased roadmap ensures that a company doesn't overextend itself, while chasing global opportunities. That's great. I'm loving this conversation, Ariel, and definitely I'm going to invite you one more time where, we can dive into such deeper conversations. But for now, before we let you go, from your immense expertise, what is that one piece of final advice that you have for our listeners today, specifically for founders who are, marketing in a language that they don't speak, or it's not their first language, so to speak?
Yeah. So I think they need to understand that just translation is not just putting in another language your communication, your website, or your marketing collateral.
It's just going to be literal translation and copy paste, right?
Yeah,
not the meaning.
Exactly. You can hire a translator now. You can use AI and get the perfectly good translation. But that's when that communication doesn't engage with your clients. Who do they blame? There is something wrong. So they need to partner with professional international marketers, professional go-to-market, that knows the local culture, that understand how even colors varies depending on the cultures, the tone of your message. Sometimes a message that in North America is totally right could be feel aggressive in the Asian market. Of
course, yeah.
And there are other aspects that even the images that you use also resonate with the culture. The humor. If you use humor here, maybe it's not understand in other countries.
That's funny in another language.
Exactly.
Right?
So there are a lot of aspects that you need to address, that it's not just translating what you have and go to that particular market, but understand the culture of that place and adapt that based on that culture.
Beautiful. That is a great reminder that meaningful relationships transcend any language barrier out there. Ariel, it has been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that was Ariel Levinson from AL B2B Marketing, a masterclass in how to bridge communication gaps and build a brand that truly travels across borders. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more resources. A very special thank you to our podcast partners, UPS, A1 Global College, Google, and ADP for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses across Canada. Keep shining. Kripa Anand signing off.